Six Nations 2024, folks. Round number 4. England hosting Ireland from Twickenham. We are going to go through some squads, the ins and outs there. Some stats, predictions, recent history. You guys can let us know your thoughts. Can England stop this Irish juggernaut? My reading of the room, English fans seem to be not overly optimistic. Obviously, you got a sliver of hope there. And Irish fans are certainly not counting any chickens, but I think I would say cautiously optimistic. We'll see how things play out. England have named a, I guess, bolstered lineup with the return of Alex Mitchell at number 9. Remember, he missed the last game through injury, so he returns to partner George Ford. They've also got Danny Kerr drop into the bench for this one, but the fact that he's still in the squad means he could potentially bring up his 100th cap, assuming he comes off the bench. So that's a massive achievement for anybody to play 100 tests for their country, and I would imagine a fair few of his have been from the bench, but I haven't been counting. Genge, George, and Dan Cole, that is the same front row. I'll be looking to see how many minutes old Theo Dan gets. I've been monitoring that like a hawk. I always want him to get more. I don't know if you saw a video on one of the social media channels the other day about like grip strength test. Yeah, Theo Dan hit that thing out of the park. I don't think George featured in the video, but he's a strong man. Give him some minutes. He's getting better. George Martin also returns to the starting lineup this week. He's going to partner Maro Itoje in the locks, which means Ollie Chessum switches to the back row for this one at number 6. Sam Underhill, turnover machine. I think he's won 5. This Six Nations, only one fewer than top of the log. Tommy Reffel, he's there at number 7. And then Ben Earl, who's been playing extraordinary. My journalist mate James Wilde talked him up the other day when we had a chat, and people said they were kind of, he was maybe being a bit too generous with his praise for Ben Earl. Well, just quietly, in the Six Nations thus far, Ben Earl has had the most carries of any player. He's had the most defenders beaten of any player, and he's England's second top tackler, one of the top tacklers in the Six Nations. So he's doing pretty well. He's doing pretty well at number 8. Backs-wise, apart from 9 and 10, which we've already talked about, you got Ollie Lawrence and Harry Slade in the midfield. It'd be nice to see Ollie Lawrence get a bit more of the ball in his hands and start busting some tackles if possible, because he didn't see as much pill as I think we would have liked in that last game against Scotland. Tommy Freeman switches wings to make way for Immanuel Feyi-Waboso on the right wing. I, for one, am chuffed to bits to see that guy getting a start. He seems like a real attacking weapon, so that's a very attacking kind of wing duo. And then George Furbank plays there at 15, so still no spot for Freddie Stuart in this one, which is maybe a little bit surprising because both England and Ireland over the last few years have had basically a lock on that fullback jersey with Keenan and Stuart for their teams, you know, hogging the vast majority of the minutes, but it's Furbank with another chance for this one. Bench-wise, Theo Dan, as I mentioned, Joe Marler and Will Stuart. Chandler, Cunningham-South is there as well. Alex Dombrandt returns to the English fold with the number 20 jersey. Danny Kerr, as I mentioned, is 100th. Marcus Smith, also another guy to be back, so that's a bit of a bolstering one too. He's another one who's had a little bit of fullback duties in recent times with England. And then Elliot, Daly drops to the bench as well. Guys like Ben Spencer and Ethan Roots out of the 23. Finn Smith has only just gotten over a knock, so it seems like maybe that kind of put him down the pecking order for this game. Second in the world, Ireland. Very consistent. Andy Farrell loves a consistent side. There's only one change to the team which played against Wales, and it's Hugo Keenan back at fullback in the place of Kieran Crowley, who drops to the bench. The front row is still Porter, Sheehan, and Furlong. 4-try Dan Sheehan. They'll be looking to put the squeeze on at scrum time. Joe McCarthy, who has been phenomenal in that number 4 jersey, he continues on. Tyke Byrne alongside him. Peter O'Mahony still captains the side. Josh Van der Fleer and Caelan Doris. Caelan Doris is easily Ireland's top tackler of this competition. And he's one of the top tacklers in the competition, which is a hard thing to do when you play for Ireland because they have so much ball. Ireland have like 60% of the possession, so far fewer opportunities to make tackles, but Caelan Doris is still right up there, which is a kind of testament to the way he plays. Gibson-Park and Crowley, 9 and 10, have been very sharp. I mean, Gibson-Park just passes the thing like a bloody bullet. I mean, he set up tries and he always tops the passing stats because Ireland have so much ball, but it is his ability to use that ball quickly, I think, unsettles opposition defences. And then Jack Crowley, he's got 9 defenders beaten, which is one of the top guys in the Six Nations too. So he is loving a wee run at the line as well. Aki and Henshaw, in 12 and 13. And from what Andy Farrell said, Ringrose was back available for this one, but Andy put it as basically just the circumstances keep him out. I guess the circumstances being, well, look, we're playing really well. Aki and Henshaw are playing really well, so we can't fit you in just yet. And from what Andy Farrell said, Gary was pretty understanding, saying that there's been other times when circumstances have kind of favoured him. Not in this case. Nash and James Lowe continue on the wings, and as I mentioned, Hugo Keenan's back at fullback. James Lowe's had 7 clean breaks to the Six Nations, which is, I think, first. So he has also been very, very sharp. Replacements, Kelleher, Healy and Beelum. So Beelum takes the spot of Ollie Jaeger, who's got a bit of a niggle with his knee. Ian Henderson also into the 23 for James Ryan, who also suffered an injury in training. Ryan Baird, Jack Conan on the bench too. So just the 2 backs with Connor Murray and the versatile Kieran Frawley dropping to the bench. Stats-wise, England's line-out's been really good. It's at 92%. But guess which team has got the only team which has got a better line-out stat than England? It's Ireland, at 95%. Ireland's stats, I think, were at 100 up until that last game when they lost a couple, and it looked to be slightly messier than it had been. England, though, have scored a couple of nice tries from scrums. We've had Earl get one when they were kind of depowered with a man in the bin. And then we had Furbank get one from a nice scrum set play. So that's one thing to watch if England have got kind of anything up their sleeves on their own scrum. Both sides like a maul. They've got pretty high mauling stats. I think pretty equal. So whether Ireland can kind of get Dan Sheehan over the try line from that maul, or if England can kind of do the reverse, will also be one to watch. But with Ireland having 60% possession, 55% territory, that's one of the battles that I'm going to watch, especially the kicking game, because England also, I mean, they don't get as much possession as Ireland, but territory-wise, they're at 59%. England don't like playing in their own half. They're more than happy to put a bit of boot to ball. Not as much as Scotland this year, but yeah, both sides like to top the territory stats. So who gets on top in that battle will be an interesting one. Both sides start the game pretty well in terms of the amount of points they score. England scored 23 thus far in the Six Nations across their first 3 games. Ireland have had 18, but conceded points, if I'm not mistaken, England have conceded 22 in the first quarter. Ireland, none, which is, a pretty relentless start. It's hard to play Ireland when they are apparently always on top in the first 20. They've also had 10 clean breaks on average per game. Nobody else is averaging even more than 5, so their attack is absolutely relentless. Clean breaks conceded, Ireland are very hard to break down, conceding 2.3 clean breaks per game. England, it's almost 5. So, a lot of the stats say Ireland is going to do very well, but stats don't win games. Players win games. Speaking of winning games, who's won the games recently? Well, it's Ireland. Of the last 5 games, Ireland have won 4, and that last 5 games where England won one was the oldest of the 5 games back in 2020 during those kind of no crowds Autumn Nations Cup games. England managed to get a win there. The last 4 in a row have all been Irish victories. The average across the last 5 is 26-15. It's been relatively comfortable for Ireland. The last game at Twickenham was 32-15. Relatively comfortable for Ireland. The last time Ireland went 5 in a row against England, if I'm not mistaken, was 1972 through to 1976. So this could be kind of another kind of record-breaking shift from Ireland. I mean, I know they had a very dominant period against England in the 2000s where I think they went 7 from 8, but there was an English win in the kind of middle of that run. Predictions-wise, the bookies are saying Ireland pretty comfortably by 12 points. The Rugby Forecast algorithms is a touch more conservative, saying Ireland by 7. It is on at Twickenham, 4:45 local kickoff, which I think is 5:45 in the morning for me. I will have already been up for the previous game, Scotland against Italy. Nika Amoshukeli, the Georgian, is the referee for this one. What do you guys reckon? Can the Irish keep this run for the Slam going, or do you think this is the week where England click and put in a kind of big-time performance at Twickenham? You guys let us know your thoughts, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.